This is Fortitudefx coming here to give you some pre-London analysis. You know what, life happens, and this morning I had some vehicle problems. I had to go register and get some mechanical work done, so a bit late, so apologies for that, but without much delay, let's get right into it. I have my JPB pair on the charts here. You can see the daily. We had the push up on Friday, and now we're in a pullback. So if you see this entire range, we are in premium pricing, so it is good for sell. Ideally, we would have wanted to get into here, but it is still a good area of value to sell. Let's look at 4H, what's happening over here. So this is the entire range of 4H, right? So we had our strong low here, we had the boss here, and then sort of it's pulling back, right? So, and it touched the daily demand, which is also a 4-hour demand nested into it, and it's had that reaction. Okay, so at this point in time, since we are in the premium, like we looked at the daily, the daily chart, we could be in a deeper pullback, or this could be the newly formed lower high for the daily and the 4H, and we can see new highs created from here, right? Anything could happen. We look for areas of value, we look at a good point of interest, and then we go into our entry time frame and look for our entry models. So let's look at my medium time frame, the 1H. Okay, so this was quite interesting. So if you remember from my weekly recap for last week, I did say that it'll be interesting to see how this POI, which I have marked here, would do. The reason why I said this was because it was formed from a sweep of liquidity, and then it had broken some internal structure and had an aggressive pull down on 1H. So for me, I was interested in looking for some sort of sales development. Now, because I was not on the charts, and that is why I couldn't get the video to you earlier, there was a very nice clean setup, and I will just quickly talk about it, and then we'll see how do we set up the charts for the rest of the day. So if I came into 15 minutes, what happened? There we are. So what happened? Let's look at this. So in my 15-minute chart, this line here that I had marked, right? This was the original chart. So when I closed my week on Friday, I talked about, you know, it's not going to happen that we're going to have a straight push down, then a new supply created, and then we're going to go down. Unlikely to happen. So what did develop was that we had internal ranges, smaller internal ranges. This was the Asian range, of course. And when I looked at the charts, I believe at this point I came to the charts before I had to leave for my errands. And this was a beautiful entry right here. So if I looked at this candle right here, what did it do? It swept liquidity here. So all of this liquidity was swept, right? Let's mark that 15-minute liquidity. And then it had a nice chalk right here. So let's mark that. There you go. 15-minute chalk, and ideally that would be my pivot candle, and that's where I should have placed my entry. Short position if I went on to distill, and then sort of looked at this 4.9, 6 pips, 5 pips, 5.9, and we would have had a nice, handsome, almost a 5-hour trade right there in a matter of an hour or so, right? 45 minutes. Once it broke this level here, I would have gotten break even, but the price never came back, and it was a beautiful, easy trade. Now, the question you guys need to ask yourself is, would you take this trade if you were risking 100K? Right? We're talking about scalability. We're not talking about small accounts. Maybe you can risk on small accounts, but would you be hesitant if you were risking 10K, 1%, or you were risking 20K on this trade? When I looked at this, and I could have entered while I was sitting at the mechanics, I wasn't very comfortable because, you know, my original talk was here. We are playing the internal of my entry time frame. Yes, the model presented itself, but is it high probability? And what I had done also was that I had marked with an alert this high here. I would have been very, very interested if the 15-minute did a sweep of this liquidity leg and then gave me an entry rather than just this part, because what I've seen in the past is there's a lot of times, price goes over these peaks, takes all the orders out and then commits to your direction. But in any case, that did not happen. So let's get rid of all of that and then go back to your 1 hour. So what happens next? Now it's very interesting, right? So price is rejecting, but price is rejecting to what, right? So on this time frame, there is nothing substantial that the price is rejecting to, right? You can argue if you went into lower time frames, 30 minutes or whatever have you, or even 15 minutes, that price, there is some sort of a demand here. You see that? And price swept and it is rejecting here. But on your medium analysis time frame, right? You're analyzing on this time frame. There is nothing substantial that it's rejecting. So price is moving upwards. And currently the area that I will be looking at is this right here. And the reason I say this is because look how this area is formed. It took all of this liquidity with it, right? Just like we did in the 15 minute, what I explained, it took all of this liquidity with it, right? So now if price gets into this area, I would be interested to look at my entry model in my entry time frame 15 minutes to see if I get an entry and target hopefully somewhere in the discounts or somewhere in the area of value, or maybe even do a 3-hour, 5-hour fixed target depending on how you want to do your targets. But this is the area that I'll be looking at. The original entry that I just showed you was a bit aggressive for me. I wasn't really quite interested in it because scalability is important and I do want a high strike rate. On the 15 minute, if you see, my chalk actually did happen. So gives me another confluence that the 15 minute has now chalk bearish. Price is ready to commit to bearish. Now it's just pulling up. If it goes into this area of value for me on 1 hour, I would be interested in that sell. Nothing else happening over here. If price comes further down, if I miss it, so be it. And thank you for that. So we'll catch you up in the post session now after New York finish, and we'll see what transpired in the day. Many thanks. Ask away questions if you have anything on my entry models, how I explain liquidity concepts, why I choose the 15 minute. Please feel free to ask and I'll try my best to answer them. Take care, guys. Bye-bye now.